Hi, I'm Bob Schrupp, physical therapist,
Brad Heineck, physical
and
therapist.
together we are the most famous physical therapists on the internet.
In our opinion, of course, Bob.
Brad, you wanted to talk today just a little bit about acromio? I know.
Yeah, we want to talk about the acromial.
Acromial arthroplasty.
Right,
I was getting ready for that, that's why. All right, acromial arthroplasty.
right. So if you've got shoulder pain, you may have a problem with your acromial bone, which is this one right here. We're going to zoom in on it. Right here, Bob, can you put your shoulder over here? So right here, okay, I got my finger on his acromion, which is this bone right here. Now, that bone is part of the shoulder joint, and what happens when you lift your arm up like this or out to the side, you can see the head of the humerus goes up like this. Now, we gotta ignore the metal parts for the skeleton, but it can bump into that acromion. But because of the rotator cuff muscles and the mechanics of the shoulder, a healthy shoulder, there's always a healthy gap there, so they're not bumping and grinding and causing all kinds of shoulder pain. Now, someone who does a lot of repetition, like a swimmer, people who work overhead a lot, you can get what we call bone spurs, where some calcium deposits actually build up on the bottom side of the acromion. Okay, and because of that buildup, that gap, that healthy gap there becomes less and less, and you can start, it doesn't go bone to bone because there's some tissues in there that actually get pinched.
But, yeah, so let's pretend this is a tendon right here.
Yeah.
He starts bringing it up, ow, 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 ow.
Oh, sorry,
No.
Bob.
So,
I
I mean,
always like doing that.
and what happens is the tendons after a while become frayed and actually can tear, and that's where you can get a rotator cuff tear.
Sure.
So,
What you do is, they can do scans on this, they may have to do an MRI, they might see the bone spurs on an x-ray, but what they'll do is an acromioplasty. So acromio and plasty just means to reform.
repair or reform.
So they're gonna get in there, it's arthroscopic, so sometimes they do have to cut you open and get right in there and do it manually, but usually nowadays they'll go in there and do it arthroscopically, so there'll be 3 little holes and they'll go in with their tools, so it's a pretty simple surgery, and they'll go in there, and if you pretend this is their tool, they'll get right under there and they'll clean those bone spurs off. And you got a good close-up there? Right in here, and they'll clean that off. There's a bursa in there as well, which is a lubricating sac. Sometimes they'll actually remove part of that.
Okay.
Okay? And they'll take whatever else that the surgeon feels is getting in the way, they'll get in there and they'll say, we gotta clean this up and debride it, you'll hear that term. But once the surgery's done, it's gonna be sore, but the idea then is to get the shoulder moving
And
again.
now there's room for the tendon to be there without getting pinched.
You better believe it. So they're basically taking the garbage out of the shoulder from
Sure.
the aging process, arthritis, bone spurs, whatever may be in there, clean it up and get that joint going. And then it's time to do some rehab, and you're gonna take that, and you're probably gonna go to a therapist, and they'll give you some specific
Right.
exercises on what to do and what not to do. But it's not a big rehab. I've got someone right now on it. He's about a month into it, and he's already using it. He's overhead. Doesn't have a lot of strength, but it's pretty functional.
Yeah, as a surgeon, because there's been no repair of tendons or anything like that, it is doing, I think, a quick surgery as far as a quick rehab. Would you
Right,
say?
right, yeah, relatively speaking. So, I don't know, it's not close to the heart, but we can fix just about anything except for Bob.
That broken heart.
You better
Just
believe
can't
it.
get it yet.
But I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna take one of those continued ed courses, Bob, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna learn about that.
You're a smart
Yeah,
guy.
and I'm gonna
You'll
talk to my wife about it. She knows a lot about
Yeah,
that.
she'll figure it out for you. You bet. Take care.